Hey everyone, this is Chris Crazyhouse back with some Chris Crazy commentary, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the Submariner, the character Namor, mainly because he's going to appear as the main antagonist or villain in the new Black Panther movie, Wakanda Forever. And what I wanted to talk about is, I wonder, does Marvel, the MCU / Disney, actually have the rights to portray Namor in his classic sense? And I'm wondering, is that why they made the creative decisions that they did to change the character? So we're going to be talking about that in this video. And if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and stick around for the commentary. Before I get to that, I just wanted to let you know I have a brand new coloring book that is available now on my Amazon store called Cute Little Monsters Coloring and Activity Book. It is a fun book of just really cutesy type monsters doing funny things, and you get introduced to the characters in the book, but also there's lots of fun activities like your classic coloring books. We got crossword puzzles, there's tic-tac-toe, there is, find the match of the character to its shadow. Just lots of fun stuff that we remember from a lot of classic coloring books when we were growing up, and it is available now on my Amazon store, and you can get that book as well as my other classic coloring books like Natural Cute or the Chris Crazyhouse Hyper Fun coloring book there as well. I'll provide the links in the description box as well as the comments section. So let's talk a little bit about this. So this weekend coming up, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is coming out, and while I am not all enthused to see this film, you folks can go see it and let me know maybe in the comments what you thought of it, or if you've seen it already, if you've seen a preview or something like that, go ahead and let me know what you thought of the film. I'll probably wait for it to drop on Disney Plus, just being honest with you. But I was very intrigued that they were going to introduce Namor the Submariner into the MCU with this film, and that's kind of been the rumors for a long time, even before Chadwick Boseman passed away, that they were going to introduce the Submariner in the sequel to Black Panther, since the Submariner became such a big antagonist to Wakanda in the comics. The whole Atlantis versus Wakanda storyline was probably one of the bigger stories over the last few years, and actually one of the things that caused T'Challa, the Black Panther, and Storm to break up, okay, because at the time Namor was also a member of the X-Men, and T'Challa felt that Storm did not warn him that this bastard was going to come and destroy Wakanda. So that's what caused their marriage to break up. So like I said, a big storyline over the last couple of years, and I was very interested to see how they were going to introduce Namor into the MCU anyway. But what we're getting in this film is not necessarily the Namor that we remember from the comics. They've decided to make him more of like an ancient Aztec / Mayan Mexican type character, and they've even kind of changed the pronunciation of his name. They call him not Namor but Namor. That's what he says in the little preview video they put out last week, where he said that's what his enemies call him, and his real name he pronounced like some sort of ancient Mayan type language name, right? So I'm wondering, just by watching that, when I watched that clip, I was like, so does Marvel not own the rights to put Namor in a film? At least not his classic version, because that makes more sense to me than all the excuses that they've been giving, and even some of the rumors that I've heard from a lot of my comrades out there. Because I asked this question on my Facebook. If you want to follow me on Facebook, I'll provide the link for that in the description box as well as the comment section, and you can follow me on Facebook when I post things and questions like this. But I posed the question, does Marvel even own the rights to put Namor in a film? Okay, And it's interesting to me, like, I don't know if they not own the rights, or if this is just a way of getting out of paying somebody. Because it might be a situation where if they do put the classic Namor in a film, they have to pay royalty rights to somebody out there, or licensing rights to somebody, like maybe even the original creator, like the Everett family, right? So let me explain the origins of Namor for those who don't know. The Submariner Namor was created by Bill Everett back in 1939. And originally the character was going to appear in this other random comic, but it wound up going into Marvel Comics #1. And this was before it was the Marvel Comics company that we know. It was still back in the golden age where it was called Timely Comics. So I'm wondering how the rights are working here, because when you talk about a character that's created back in the 1930s, there's a lot of hazy stuff going on there when it comes to the rights of things, or who owns what. You know, a lot of those original creators don't own their creations anymore. Like the big corporations kind of took over Marvel and DC, and they, you know, kind of took away the rights from those creators. So I'm not sure if Bill Everett's family still owns any rights to the Submariner. You know what I mean? It's real hazy when you talk about that time period. And actually, the Submariner actually predates Aquaman, because a lot of people have been telling me the reason they changed Namor is because they don't want to run into any, you know, similarities between Aquaman. But, you know, Namor came first in the comics, and his attitude and his personality have what's always made him a more original character than Aquaman, in my opinion. I think, in my opinion, they've actually changed Aquaman to be more like Namor over the last couple of years or so. Like, Namor was the original, he wasn't even really a superhero. He was kind of a jerk. He's actually always has been. And that's what always has made people attracted to the character, that he was never really a classic hero type character. He's more like in my opinion, he was more like a monstrous type character, because he would always destroy humanity and landmarks and stuff like that. And he was not a classic hero in that sense. You know, other heroes always wound up having to fight Namor. In fact, that's one of my favorite original Jack Kirby comics, is in, I think it's Avengers #4 or 5, where Iron Man has to fight Namor. And I think even later on they had an Iron Man book where Jack Kirby did the pencils for it, where it's Namor versus Iron Man for it was like their second big fight. And it was just, you know, I just love Jack Kirby's artwork and the way he does fight scenes anyway. But yeah, like, Namor has always been more of an antagonist than a classic hero type. And, you know, I'm wondering, will that personality come forward in the MCU portrayal of him? But, you know, going back to my original thesis here, where I was talking about, do they own the rights? Because when a studio or a big corporation, when they want to put something in a movie, sometimes they'll change it slightly, so that way they're able to get away with putting it on screen, either without having to pay somebody or without having to face any type of legal repercussions for it. Like, this is their way of not getting sued by someone who might actually own the movie rights to the original Namor character. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is one of the reasons why in the last Superman movie it was called Man of Steel. And if you notice in that movie, they avoid calling him Superman several times. And that's because there's still a lot of legal rights up in the air with the creator's family and the people who own the rights to Superman and DC/Warner Brothers. They've been butting heads forever, right? Because Superman is such a big property, and you know, they had to tweak the character a little bit. That's why he doesn't wear the red trunks anymore in the comics and stuff like that. That was all a choice to make sure that they can get away with still having the character in, you know, DC Comics as well as in the DCEU without having to pay anybody, and they can get away with it. So I'm wondering if they're doing the same thing with Namor in the MCU, because they've changed the character so dramatically, and the fact that they're even changing the pronunciation of his name, that kind of rings the bell to me as someone who is a creator, as, you know, MCU Disney is just trying to get away with putting this character in a film without having to actually pay somebody. You see what I'm saying? And the fact that they've changed his origin, and it's somewhat similar but not really. It's not similar enough. Like it's those weird creative property legal things that they do to get away with using something that they probably shouldn't be using. So, I mean, you folks can let me know in the comments section what you think. These large corporations are doing. I'm just giving you my perspective as someone who is a actual creator, as someone who has worked behind the scenes in marketing, who has seen, you know, a lot of these legal battles and what you can use and what you can't use. I remember all the time working on certain projects where we always had to get the people to sign off on something before we could do anything. So I'm wondering if that's the case with Namor, or that's why we're getting Namor in this film and not the classic character that we all know and love. So you guys can let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. I very much like to hear your opinions on it. And once again, if you like my commentaries on this channel, I want to focus more on the behind the scenes stuff that goes on with art and animation, and even in the film industry, what I can tell you from my own experiences. So I hope you enjoyed that type of commentary. Anyway, this is Crazyhouse signing out. Peace.